Hi, I'm Casey Browning from Retroactive Arcade, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about JAMMA versus MAME. I've talked about it quite a bit when we get a bunch of customers that come in that are new to the whole arcade building thing and they want to know what the difference is, or they have no idea that there is an actual difference or that there is these options. So, all around, welcome to learning new fun stuff. So what I'm going to talk about first is JAMMA. JAMMA has been around since, I say things like the dawn of time. No, it's not, but it's been around for a really long time. JAMMA is a standard kind of pinout for PCBs for old school games when they used to come out. When the first games started coming out, they had to customize all these boards. They needed a standard, so they came out with a standard. That's the standard for the pinout on a PCB. So one side's player one side's player two, nice and easy. I will get into the depths of what JAMMA is, where it came from, how it works, and all that stuff in a separate video. And then, yeah, you can go from there. But JAMMA itself, what it is it comes with a board like this. This one's called the 60-in-1. This one's Pandora's box. With the 60-in-1 or the Pandora's box, the games are loaded on there already. Now, the games themselves are editable in certain ways, things that called dip switches and stuff like that, that try to stay true to the original game and ROMs that were on the original PCB board. So, in other words, basically, they have these dip switches that allow for difficulty levels, difficulty settings with your lives and all that stuff. So you can change it from like 3 lives to 5 lives and so on and so forth. The reason why they made that was to make it work with a standardized type JAMMA harness. Now, the beautiful thing with JAMMA is that the games are preloaded, they're ready to rock. When you get into Pandora's box, they've been remastered for HD, bigger TVs, that type of a thing. You will find on the video on these ones that the edges and stuff are rounded. It's not as pixelated and stuff like that. But it also won't stretch on, say, like a 72 or 80-inch screen, that type of a thing. So they're great for that. And they also remastered the sound on most of these games, so you don't get a sound fluctuation between games and ROMs and stuff, which you do in other settings and scenarios. The beautiful thing with these ones is that you can technically be up and running in a weekend if you already have, say, an old cabinet and you're just ripping the guts out and replacing it, or you want to, build your first arcade out of a shoebox. I don't know, but regardless, whatever level or skill level you're at, this should only take you a day or two to kind of set up as like a bench test or set up in your cabinet and get up and running. It has things like HDMI and VGA outputs. Some of these boards will allow for, these two will allow for CRTs, so if you're taking apart an old cabinet and kind of redoing it, that type of a thing, these are great for that. They can even utilize your existing JAMMA harness and stuff if it's I call it a 28 pin, but regularly it's actually a 56 pin because they're doubled up. It's 28 on each side. So as long as it runs the right power setup and stuff in there, which you might want to take a voltage meter and do and check out, then you are good to go. But as it sits for JAMMA, it's kind of a plug and play system that's kind of locked down. There are coming out with more existing boxes and boards and stuff that allow you to add ROMs to them, and they're a little more open for you to play around with. But these are designed to basically turn them on, play your games, turn them off, good to go. When we get over to the MAME side of things, I've only got 2 encoders here. One's for player 2, one's for player 4. It's an IPAC 2, IPAC 4. They're both from Ultimark. There's a lot of other options for encoders and game controllers. You've got Zinmo's zero delays. You've got Brooks fight boards and a couple other things that all do kind of different things, and they register a little differently, but they all work for PC, Raspberry Pi. It'll work for like Android stuff, so it'll work for like a tablet, that type of a thing. We've kind of hooked them up to pretty much anything that runs a popular OS, whether it's Android, Linux, Mac, or PC. These ones specifically register as a keyboard. Some of the other ones will register as a game controller. Now, the thing with these ones is that usually if you set it up to some sort of PC, let's just bring it all out to PC, so I'm not mentioning all the ones all again, but when you run in a PC and you run an emulator in there, you can go in the back end and you can program your button layouts and all that fun stuff. So there's a whole bunch to it. If you go down that road for MAME, you're looking for, depending on how you do it, if you're going to do it from scratch and do it on your own, it's going to be a long, painful road that is rewarding in the end. If you go through something along the lines of, say, Raspberry Pi and that type of a thing, you can download images with all the emulators and games and all that stuff kind of preloaded, ready to rock. If you're a noob, it's going to be really hard for you to edit them and stuff like that. Some of them you can't edit at all, but if you know some of the Linux code and stuff in the background, maybe you can go in and edit a few things here and there. But MAME gives you a ton of versatility, but you almost have to start from scratch unless, like I said, you download an image or you have a drive full of games and stuff that's already managed and set up or whatever, versus having something like JAMMA where you basically turn it on, turn it off, call it a day. This MAME setup stuff, as great as it is, it requires a lot of ongoing maintenance and ongoing programming and stuff, but it gives you all the versatility that you could ever want. So you, in a sense, in the driver's seat, get to choose, what emulators you want and how many you want, what kind of computer you want to have put into it, and so on and so forth. So, and then if you want to change along the way, go from Raspberry Pi to PC or go to Mac or go whatever, you can do all that fun stuff. This stuff will last, a lifetime in itself for upgrades. Where this one here, the only way to upgrade it is to buy a new game box and pop the old one out and pop the new one in. So it is upgradable in a sense, but you have to buy basically a whole new system and so on and so forth. The beautiful thing with that is, if any of the systems are different, that you can kind of flip from one to the other. I will talk about a quick downside to both. The downside to both is, or to the JAMMA side, is that when you pick a board for JAMMA, you're either going to get, it's called horizontal or vertical. These two are different. So the Pandora's box is horizontal. That means you can play two players at the same time. Your monitor sits like it would on your computer desk or whatever. That's the way you normally view a TV monitor, so on and so forth. The horizontal, two at the same time. Now, 60 and 1, the older school ones, they're great. They're awesome. They emulate the games to almost a T. That is, your monitor is vertical. So that means you only play one player at a time. You can't really play two players at a time. And then the screen is in one way and one way only. So when you mount that in a vertical thing, you're kind of stuck with that. So you kind of have to make that choice as well. So there's two major choices to make, is JAMMA, MAME, and then vertical or horizontal for these ones. With MAME, you always mount your monitor horizontal. I mean, you can do it vertical and set it to flip that way if you only put vertical games on it, but it will put black bars on the side, letterboxing, and then your downside is really long programming time on this. So unless you have something set up already, it's not impossible, it's not daunting until you get into it, and you can do it bit by bit. So you can do it as you learn and go on from there. Either way, it's super fun. Welcome to the hobby. I hope I made your choice a little bit easier, and hope to see you soon.